Jordan Peterson, I think this may be the second or third clip, but we'll get there. Jordan Peterson does not even claim to be a Christian. He will not say whether or not he's actually Christian, despite the fact that the initial title of this video apparently was One Christian versus 20 Atheists, which was then changed to Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists. So, why would you debate from the position of Christianity if you yourself aren't even a Christian? Unless there are some ulterior motives at play here, which you may speculate what those are on your own. But let me get to the next clip here. So that was Brian in that clip with Jordan Peterson. He goes on to explain where he derives his morality from.
I'm actually a non-theist. I'm not an atheist. I believe the human condition is one of uncertainty. And what that means is that I don't believe that you can conclude there is a God with certainty, and I don't believe that you can conclude that there is a God without in the same position. Now, with that, I don't care. I still wake up every day and I have motivation to be a moral person.
Define moral.
Moral, what I ought to do.
Okay, and how do you come to that conclusion? And what I ought to do, ultimately it comes down to what not just benefits me, but what benefits the entire planet, what benefits the entire system. I think that your entire moral perspective comes from linear thinking, and when you look at the reality of the universe, it's actually more so holistic.
So I tend to agree with Brian here. I'm always quite skeptical of people who feel like they need a rule book to be a good person, because that tends to mean that they lack any sort of internal morality, any sort of empathy. So they need something else. That said, if that's going to ensure that they are not terrible people, then nothing's wrong with them following some sort of rule book, some sort of religion, I suppose, to ensure that they stay down a certain path. But oftentimes, the most religious people are also the worst people. So there is no, there's no one and the same when it comes to following a Christianity, for example, and being a good person. Which again, it goes back to why I find it so ridiculous to try and base morality in Christianity, especially when we get to what's in the Bible, and a future clip touches on that. But this also gets to the people that do need a rule book but don't have one. I think of people like Donald Trump, whose entire life is based in narcissism. He clearly does not feel empathy, but he succeeds. Many people who are born into situations that are favorable to them in terms of money and status, because of course his parents were already wealthy, so he didn't have to work a whole lot to succeed early in life. Those sorts of people who are given those advantages and don't have any kind of moral center are able to succeed in this ridiculous society, because we have based a society around greed, essentially. If you're able to cheat your way to the top, you can do that, especially if you don't feel for the people around you or the people you impact while you are getting to the top. Let me get to the next clip now. This is Parker, who completely dismantles Jordan Peterson over a simple hypothetical.
So do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
how would you define belief? Something you say?
Well, can I explain? Like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone's life?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're in Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them, would you lie to the Nazis?
I would have done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. It's a hypothetical, and it's not answerable.
You can't answer hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far.
today?
Look,
Did you eat
don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing a game. I'm just
Yes,
asking if
you
you ate
are.
it.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical?
I would do everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing you can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Give up on just like trying to clarify your position? Because you
I
don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a basic
Yeah, yeah.
hypothetical
Like,
where
like
you
if you
put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
obviously you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
Why
anti-fascist?
are you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying.
All right, so I'm not usually a fan of hypotheticals because I prefer to live in the real world and use real world examples of things that are actually happening. But this whole debate is based in a hypothetical of God. So a hypothetical argument is perfectly at home here. And Jordan Peterson sets himself up. He's the one that says, quote, if you believe something, you stake your life on it. A bit melodramatic, that said. He's faced with a hypothetical here. Would you lie to save someone's life? And he wouldn't answer it, which is so, like, there is an easy way for him out of this argument, which is to say, well, my morality is based in human life. So of course I would lie because that's what the morality is based in. But instead, because he's basing his morality in some amorphous idea of what God is, then he's not able to answer the question. So again, this gets to why is the idea of God, why is that superseding any sort of material idea of what you believe in the real world? Like life, like family, like human rights, workers' rights. Why aren't you basing morality in that as opposed to basing it in the Bible or God? It's just this. I think this debater probably did the best job at exposing how stupid this entire thing is. That said, there's another one. Danny's the next clip I'm going to share here, where he just sort of has fun with this whole thing.
Are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure,
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
and I mean
either
it,
you're a
'cause I
Christian
won't
or you're
talk to
not.
you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression
private.
I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video,
You're really quite something, you are.
aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
All right. Well, to be fair, the kid's being a little rude. If you're trying to convince somebody of something, which is not what he's trying to do there, just to be clear. But if you are trying to convince somebody of something in a debate, that's not the attitude you want going in the debate. That said, this probably is the attitude you should be going into this debate with because of how ridiculous the entire basis for Jordan Peterson's argument is. Now, the initial title of the video apparently was One Christian versus 20 Atheists, which they then changed to Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists. Why? Who knows? Maybe he complained. Maybe they were reminded of the fact that he said during the debate that he never claimed he was a Christian. So, but still, why are you here in this debate basing all of your arguments within Christianity and the Bible? Yet you won't even say if you're a Christian. It's kind of weird. Here is the last clip. This is Ian, who dismantles the idea that morality is based in Christianity.
My final claim is that atheists accept Christian morality, but deny the religion's foundational stories.
So in 1 Samuel 15:3, God says, go and slaughter the Amalekites, slaughter the men, the women, the children, the infants.